Okay, welcome everyone to the Writer's Block podcast and gathering. It's been great to see my friend Michelle Layer Rahal again. It's been a while. She's been a guest on the Writer's Block before. She's a member with us, and we're going to talk today about building a consistent following on Instagram, something that I can say she does well. So,
Yes.
welcome back, Michelle. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Kara. It's nice to be here. It has been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, for those who might be new to you and to the things that you do and write about, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, some of your writing background.
Okay. I am a Christian author. I have written two books, both self-published. I'm also a writing coach and a speaker. My background's in education and broadcasting, but for the last 10 years, I've really focused on making God my priority and writing to make him known to others. Um, I currently teach 3 Bible studies a week. I collect God sighting stories that I share in my Wednesday newsletter with my subscribers. I am passionate about spiritual formation, hence the reason I'm teaching 3 Bible studies. I love helping seekers move from their head knowledge to their heart knowledge so they can have a relationship with Jesus. Um, I live in the Washington, D.C. area with my husband, Greg, who makes me laugh every day. We have no kids, no pets. And when I'm not writing or coaching, I can usually be found in the kitchen cooking gourmet meals for friends and family.
Oh, that sounds like a good full life and
It's
plate.
nice. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so tell us a little bit about, I mean, you mentioned 3 Bible studies. Now
Mhm.
that is a bold, um, brave move to take on that
Mhm.
much. So what
Mhm.
does that look like for you?
I teach 3 different studies to 3 different groups. So I have a group of college freshmen, young girls online that I teach. They're in their 20s. I have a group of young adult women that I teach in person. And then I have a group of I teach at a homeless shelter once a week as well. And I was going over these 3 Bible studies in my head the other day, and I thought the college group, they have this I want to learn mentality, and they're taking notes like crazy. And the young adult women have this I want to understand mentality. So they ask a lot of questions. And the unhoused men and women at the homeless shelter have this I want to be transformed
Mm,
mentality. And so they wrestle with the word um, in search of change in themselves and their circumstances. And so I learn so much every week by working with them and these 3 diverse groups, and they help shape my understanding of God and how to share Him with others.
mm, it's really beautiful. And I love that like each of your audiences kind of absorbs information differently, like there's
Yeah,
a different objective to it. So
yeah.
that's really cool. Well, we're
Hmm.
going to talk about Instagram, and in a way,
Okay.
that's a good segue because that is a way of learning and
Hmm.
growing and sharing your
Hmm.
message. And I was looking at your Instagram account today, and I was like, oh my goodness, like you've got a lot of followers. I mean, you had
I
one
know.
post with 170,000 likes and 47,000 shares. Did you know
Really?
that?
I didn't
It's
even
like
know.
it's like the second or third one on the top of
Okay.
your page. I was just
Oh, it's
amazed. I
pinned.
think it was the
Hmm.
one where you were at Normandy Beach.
Oh, that's the one that kicked it all off. But
Okay,
there's
let's talk
this.
about that because that's like
Okay.
that's insane, right? Like maybe
It's
that's lightning in a
insane.
bottle.
Yeah,
But tell us
that's
a little
insane.
bit about like your philosophy with
Well,
Instagram.
okay. Well, I'll tell you a little. Yeah, let's see here. How can I start this? s- I'll start with that video because I opened my Instagram account back in the fall of 2022, and and I'll talk a little bit more about this on Thursday. But when I did a an intake of where would my followers be based on the message I want to share, where would those people be? And I kind of came to the conclusion that they're probably on Instagram. And so I figured I better open an account, but I had no idea how to post or create video, or I didn't even know the difference between a carousel and a post. I knew nothing. Um, so I started writing a second book and opening this Instagram account at the same time because I failed to try to build a platform with the first book. I thought I was going to be a one book author. I was done. I did not need a platform. But it kind of paved the way for a second book. So all that to say that I started writing the second book and opening my Instagram account at the same time. And as the book came toward completion, I'm realizing I really don't have a huge following. I mean, I had a good, I would say for me, a first-time author, a decent size email list with over 1,000 people on my email list. So I figured the book will go out to them, but I really wanted to um, to expand that to a greater number. And so I'm in prayer one day. I said to God, God, I know you called me to write this second book. You've got to. I need more followers. And I heard him say, so do I. So I thought, okay, well, there's my challenge. He wants more followers. I want more followers. So I thought I'm just going to step it up a notch on Instagram. So I started rolling out reels, making them, and I was only doing it twice a week. I was putting a reel out twice a week, and I had maybe 100 followers. But I do have a background in broadcasting. I was a radio news reporter, so I don't have a problem telling a story in 60 seconds. And so doing the reels were easier for me than doing a stagnant post. Um, and so I wrote that particular reel knowing I was going to Normandy for I had maybe 100 followers,
Hmm.
and I recorded it on the beaches over there, and half of it was on a piece of paper I was holding, so I was trying to read the paper, and half of it was in my head, and I kind of did it, and all of a sudden it just started clicking. It started clicking. It started clicking. And it fell into the feed of a few pretty big Instagrammers, influencers. And I had a couple of them write me directly, text me directly, message me directly, and say, could I share this? I was like, yeah,
Course.
of course. And it blew up. I mean, for me, blew up. It went from I went from 100 followers to about 10,000 followers in 2 months.
Wow.
I know. But in between, I was doing what I was told I should do on Instagram, was that as people watch it, comment, respond, thank people for showing up. But I was doing it on hyperspeed. I was on vacation. I'm trying to text me. It's in the middle of the night in America, and I'm over there. And I think because I was responding and I was paying attention to my followers, that it blossomed. It took off.
And that must have, I mean, been exciting, but encouraging too, right? Did that
Hmm.
kind of give you the boost that you felt like you needed to keep doing what you were doing?
Yes, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. And I'm not sure why that one reel so early in my Instagram life uh, uh, shot out like that, but I'm gonna just attribute it to God and
Yeah,
prayer. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I think the way of social media clearly seems to be video. And so
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I remember when I first started writing and I was like, I felt this need to not only write a blog post, but then write a caption to a post, posting the
Yeah.
picture and it would get, minimal engagement, I guess.
Yeah. Hmm.
It feels like, I don't know, would you agree? Like those days are done. Like writers probably shouldn't even bother doing that. I don't know. This is my observation. I don't know if there's like hard and fast rules about it, but it just seems like reels and video is the wave of the future right now.
Yes, I would say that's probably true. And yet, if you can capture the attention of followers with some kind of a post that keeps them engaged, um, those can work as well. And there are a number of influencers. I have no clue what they look like, but they've built a really big following because their post is intriguing.
Hmm. I haven't seen many of those, but that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you just have to find that right like formula that
Mm-hmm.
works with you. And I was looking at
Mm-hmm.
your Instagram account, and it you do have kind of a like a pattern. It seems like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your face before a camera, you have a very
Mm-hmm.
polished script. What is that like for you when you're like creating your script? How long does that take you? Do you
Mm-hmm.
have like, I don't want to step into what you're going to teach us on Thursday, but could you give us some ideas of like maybe some guidelines for best practices?
Well, the best practices I'll share on Thursday, if that's okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I can tell you how I write them,
Yeah,
where I get my
please do.
inspiration. Um, so I'm still old fashioned pen and paper for note taking. So if I'm at church on Sunday or not if I am, when I am at church on Sunday, or I'm listening to a podcast, or when I do my Bible study every morning or my meditation at night, um, I'm so immersed, I want to say, in the word in my life. Like even there have been times when I'm teaching my Bible study to the homeless, and one of them will say something, and I think, oh my gosh, I got to get the notepad out and take a note. But something will spark me, and I'll think, okay, that can be turned into a 60-second story. So I don't think of the reels as a sermon as much as I think of them as a story. You know, where can I start and how can I end it in 60 seconds? And then I come home and I have this, long list that I've handwritten, and I just kind of pray over them and see which one pops out at me, and then I'll sit down and I know that when I double space, it takes about 3/4 of a page for me to do a 90-second reel, and I'll type it out, read it out loud, uh, see how it feels. I'll put my little timer on. And now Instagram has boosted it. You can do a 3-minute reel, but I also know that people lose interest. So I'm sticking to the 90 seconds or 60, between 60 seconds and 90. And I'll write 2 to 4 reels a week. They take me about 45 minutes to an hour to write one and test it out and make sure I'm within my time frame. Um, and then on Sunday, now you're all going to know what I do. On Sunday, when I've got makeup on and I'm dressed from church, I'll record one, go change my earrings and my shirt and my lipstick color and record a second. And I'll
Oh,
record 3 or 4 on Sunday. And then
that's
I
great.
paste them out during the week.
I love that. That's a good hack, right? Like you've done the work of getting ready. Take advantage.
Yeah. Because I'm in front of my computer all day. Why do I have to have makeup on unless I'm doing something like this?
Yeah. So with your book releases and
Yeah.
the reels that you were making during those periods of time, was it with both books or just your second book?
Just the second
The
one. Yeah.
second book. How did you determine the topics um for your reels? Are you taking content straight out of your book, or are you kind of like leaving breadcrumbs towards your book? Do you know what I'm
Breadcrumbs.
saying? Breadcrumbs, yeah.
Breadcrumbs. Yeah. During the time when I was using you don't want to get on any platform and push a book, right? Because that sounds like you're just being salesy.
Mm-hmm.
So, during that time when I was pitching the book, I might tell one of the little stories in there, and just because the second book was about how God speaks. Um, and he speaks to us all differently. And we look in the Bible and there's all these stories of how creative God is, and how he speaks, from a burning bush to a talking donkey, to visions and dreams. I mean, he's all over the place. So we can't assume how God will speak to us. And so when I was writing that book, I might give a little tweak about, have you ever seen God in light? And there was a time when I was sitting in my hot tub and enveloped in light. And I'm not going to tell you the story, but it's in my book. If you're interested, you can
Yeah.
click the link in my bio.
There you go.
But I would
Pique the interest.
but I would peek the yeah, but I would wrap it up. That 60 seconds would still be a story in itself, but I might put the call to action in there. And I try to put a call to action in my reels maybe once every 5 or 6 times, and I usually post 2 to 3 times a week. So I'm putting a call to action in every 2 or 3 weeks.
Hmm. That's good. That's a good kind of ratio probably for
Yeah.
how we like to consume information because we
Yeah.
don't like being sold to. We like learning. We
Yeah.
like interesting stories and things like that.
Mhm.
And then once in a while, like you want to hook them and bring them in. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Thanks.
What what have you noticed in terms of like it sounds like you have a pretty healthy relationship with Instagram. But I know that many of the women on this call and who listen have struggled with it. And I know maybe it's just not for everybody.
Hmm.
But have you ever wrestled with that? And if so, like how do you how do you engage with it now in a way that feels healthy and life-giving?
Um, Instagram is a community, and I think Facebook is a community too. Um, I, I feel that God has given us all some type of message we're supposed to take into the world. And, uh, I used to be a reporter, but I didn't really have any relationship with God during that time. And I used to be a school teacher. And so, I hopefully by that point in my life would model, Christian values when I was with the kids. And so, however God calls us to share who He is in the environment that He's placed us. So when I look at Instagram, and I was very intentional about opening an account on Instagram because, as I said earlier, I felt that my people were there. That's where my audience could be found. So when I get on Instagram, I'm trying to create a community, or find my community that would be open to the message I'm trying to share, that they're there because they're seeking the message I have. And so it doesn't feel like I'm pushing anything on them. I'm just presenting, and if they want to tap in, then hopefully I'm giving them something that's life-giving. I'm not selling them anything, and like I said, occasionally I'll say, "Hey, click the link in my bio, you can get my newsletter." I mean, I don't make anything off of Instagram, but I do feel that God is calling me there, and he's given me a platform there, and so I'm supposed to glorify him there.
Yeah, that's such a good way of looking at it. Like it is just this free tool that we can
Hmm.
use and
Hmm.
connect and do it for God's glory. I think too. Do you have do you have multiple accounts? Do you have like a writerly account, like the one that I was looking at, and then maybe more of a friendly one? And if so, like, do you feel that does that work for you?
I have one account.
Just one. Okay. Well,
That's
that's
it.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I do, I mostly post reels because that's my people. And if I do a reel where my face is not in the first screen, people don't even watch it.
Yeah,
So
that's
so it's
interesting.
like they recognize me and then they watch, right? It's so weird. It's so strange. But but I don't I've only got that one account because if I do want to post anything personal, like, I recently took a trip um on a retreat, and I wanted to post some pictures about the retreat, but I wasn't writing a reel about the retreat. I would just put those into stories. So they didn't show up on
Mm.
my normal feed, and therefore they're not on my account page where you can watch them later because a story is only up for 24 hours.
Yeah, that
So,
keeps it consistent, doesn't it, with your,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so that allows me to have just one account, right? So yeah.
That's
So
yeah, that's a good point.
you can
Well,
get so overwhelmed with platforms. Oh my
oh my
gosh.
gosh, there's so many. And finding the one that fits and works for you and where your audience
Yeah.
is can be
Yeah.
a bit of a trial and error
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and Carrie said it's my
Yeah.
lipstick, so
Yeah, you do. It always doesn't look like it fades out.
I'm a lipstick freak. Okay.
That's funny.
Thanks. What do I use? Let's see, Carrie. I use Clinique.
Oh, okay. Funny story. I used to work at Clinique. That was one of my very first jobs. So
Mine too.
really,
Yeah.
oh, funny. That's so funny. In our little white
Yeah.
lab coats, right?
Yep. Yep. That's
Oh,
funny.
fun. Well, I'd love for the ladies on the call to feel free to show their faces. Let us know if you have any questions or thoughts. I know Instagram is just one of those things that like it affects us all in some way. Um, and yeah, I always feel a little like I should be using it more than I am. But I will look at
Yeah.
Michelle and what you're doing and it's inspiring. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do reels and get more comfortable with doing reels. But I think it's one of those things that maybe it's the news personality in you. You just look very at
Hmm.
ease in front of a camera. And I think
Maybe.
that's a skill for sure.
Well, thanks. And I also know with Instagram that you must be consistent. So if you
Yes.
post once and maybe two times you've got to find a schedule and stick to it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Carrie?
Well, I think that um, when I look at Michelle's reels and I usually see them, I'm just like, oh my gosh, she just makes it look so effortless. And the fact that you do put an hour into it, and I've had people say like things that I've done, oh, and she just makes it look effortless, and I put like 100 hours into it, and I'm like, so it's good that you don't see that, but it's good
Yeah.
also to hear that it's not effortless for you, that it's something that
Hmm.
you're comfortable with, but that you do put the work in behind, because if
Yeah.
you're doing 4 reels a week and you say each one takes you about an hour to write and polish, that's 4 hours. That's a chunk.
Hmm.
That's a chunk of time. So, and in even in the word Instagram, we think it should be able to be done immediately and instantly, and it's just not the way it is.
No, and I know some people can speak off the cuff, but I'm just not comfortable with that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think, and that's a style issue too, right?
hmm.
And so I think you've created a style and
Hmm.
something that is on brand for Michelle,
Yeah.
and so that works really well. What
Yeah.
would you say, like, to somebody who maybe has 100 followers, just like you did at one point? Like, how would you say to somebody just starting out, or maybe somebody like me who probably
Hmm.
needs to reevaluate, maybe refresh? What would you suggest?
Um, I'm going to talk about this again on Thursday, but brief overview is it's never too late to start, uh, and to fine tune your message. Make sure that Instagram is where your people are. There's no point in fine tuning a message if your people aren't there. And then create a look. I mean, I know now that my look's my face. And I've gotten to a point now where I don't care if I have makeup on or not in a lot of my real, I mean, if I'm out doing a mission project or I'm working in the yard, then I'll just record myself with no makeup. But normally I'm in the makeup. And I always get people saying, don't record videos without makeup on. I say, sorry, it was on my mind. But people can be nasty too,
Mhm.
But I would tell people then just find your message. Make sure Instagram is where your people are. Then get a look. Whether you might open every screen, with block lettering or a sunrise or I don't know, but it's your brand.
Mhm.
So find something that works and reflects you, and then get a schedule. Just make yourself post if it's just once a week, um, twice a week, and then there's certain things you need to do in between, which is converse with the people that respond to you and to follow other post uh, influencers who are posting similar posts to you, because it is a community. It is definitely a community, and you have to build on that.
Yeah.
Question, if you don't mind. You said that, in order to engage and comment and stuff, I find Instagram is, to me, it's very one way
Mm,
because you don't, unless you click on the comments, you don't see the comments.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and I don't know that there's much back and forth. So how do you follow up? Do you do more in your, like, because I know I get your emails and, and you have more to say there, but I don't see Instagram as a platform that is a two-way engagement.
Um, I think it is. Wow. Yeah,
Okay.
I can see what you're saying though, because you have to click into it. But once you
Yeah.
click into it, um,
Do you respond to comments right there in the feed?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
And so I always, if a comment comes through and it's positive, I always give it a heart,
Okay.
or I'll say, thank you for saying that, or I appreciate that, or to God be the glory. I try to give just a little response.
Mhm.
Um, if it's a comment that's negative, or they didn't like what I said, or they're questioning me, I try to respond in a way that I think God wants me to respond. So it's like, I hear you. I don't necessarily agree, but I thank you for responding that way. Or, can you tell me more? Um, and if it gets heated, I hide it. Because if it gets really nasty, I don't want people seeing that
Mhm.
exchange on my feed.
Mhm.
I found I posted um, I posted a reel about a year ago that got so much attention, but it wasn't positive attention. It had to do with how many books were in the Bible. And I was comparing the Catholic Bible to the Protestant Bible, and it was fact. It was all factual. There was nothing. But oh my gosh, people were, you Protestants, and I didn't even say if I was Catholic or Protestant. I said, my Catholic Bible has this, my Protestant Bible has this. And there was such tension, and the fights I said, was not responding much when, I mean, if somebody said, thank you for telling me, I would go, thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful. But other people were commenting and, you're stupid, and you Catholics and you Protestants. I mean, it got nasty. And I kept going in and saying, I'm not saying that either Bible is better. Well, you should know that this Bible is better. I mean, it got nasty. So what I should have done was hide it, just hide the whole feed. But I didn't. I deleted it. But when you delete something that big, because it was big, when you delete something that big with that many comments, I lost about 5,000 followers, I think. Oh, yeah,
Mm.
just wiped them out. Um, and I actually have when you get to a certain, I didn't even know this was possible, but apparently when you get to a certain level on Instagram, you have access to some Instagram employees that will answer a question for you. And so I found out that with me totally deleting that, I hurt myself. But who cares? Whatever. If they want to
Lesson
find me again,
learned.
they can. Yeah.
It's like you unlocked a secret level in like Super Mario Brothers.
Cool.
The kids show me secret levels when you go through certain doors. It's funny.
Yeah, so that's what I did. So I would tell you, even if things get a little tense on Instagram, just hide it.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good tip.
Yeah.
I think, Michelle, one of the things that it sounds like you were ready when the time came
Mm,
for your message to be heard consistently, and you were
mm.
ready with the responses. I mean, like we're told to be ready in scripture and always be prepared to give an
Yeah.
answer for the hope that's in you. And I think sometimes um, when I get to those stumbling blocks of either Instagram or my website or whatever it is, that the Lord's still preparing me to be ready for the
Mm.
time when I need to deal with the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal, is just being ready.
Thank
So
you,
good
Carrie.
job.
Thank you. And I think a lot of times it's trial by fire too. I mean, I was not really quite sure what to do. And like I said, that Normandy feed started blowing up, and I was, I'm with my husband in France, and I'm like, I have to respond. He's going, we're on vacation. I'm like, no, I know I'm supposed to respond.
Yeah,
So you,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't
Anyway,
always choose those moments, but it chose you, and
yeah,
you stewarded that
yeah.
well.
I enjoy it now though, because you put a call to action in every so often, and when I do a reel, how do I say this? I'll put a call to action in for, click the link in my bio and sign up for my newsletter. And I don't always say it in the reel. I might put it in the text that I write with the reel. But maybe once a quarter, I'll pitch my book. I'll say something, because the book's been out for over a year now, and I'm working on the third book now, but I'll still pitch the second one, and I'll just say, hey, if you want to know more about how to hear God's voice, I have this book. Click the link in my bio, or click for the newsletter, and I will see book purchases happening on Amazon, and I will see um, maybe 5 to 10 new subscribers a day who, with that. So the calls to action do work, but
Do
I'm
you
not jam.
feel, I'm sorry,
No, I was just gonna say I'm not jamming them down anybody's throat. I'm just, you know,
putting it
scattering
out
them.
there. How would you compare the engagement you get from Instagram to your email newsletter? And do you feel one, I mean, it's kind of been beaten to our heads to build an email list primarily,
Yeah,
um, because that is such a direct channel of communication
yeah.
with your followers, your readers. Have you found that to be true? I mean, if you're able to put a call to action in a reel and see immediate results with book sales and subscribers, that's pretty remarkable. But do you feel like
Hmm.
it's one outweighs the other in terms of effectiveness?
I still think my newsletter is more effective because those are people who have really bought in, right? They are my followers, and I have an over 40% open rate, which is really good on a newsletter. And so, and I get, responses to that. So I know people are reading that. But with Instagram, to a great extent, they're consumers, right? They're just going in to consume information. So that's just a tool that I work with to spread God's word. And if they want more of God's word, then they can sign up for my newsletter. But
Yeah.
the
Well,
newsletter is
that's
the most
good.
important.
I'm glad that pattern is holding true with you, because I think that is kind of a thing that we should continue to focus on, but to have these
Yeah.
channels
Mhm.
of like little funnels that are built into
Mhm.
your overall strategy of growing an email list, selling books,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
It's great that Instagram works and now
Yeah.
that's good.
Thanks.
What? Any other questions from Michelle?
I hope you all attend Thursday.
Yeah, that was my next question. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk? I know I keep kind of
Yeah, don't step
touching the
out.
fringe of the garment of Thursday,
Love
but
it, love it.
what are you
Uh,
going to teach us?
yeah, well, I'll be sharing tips on how to build a recognizable Instagram presence. I touched on that a little bit today. Um, I'll talk a little bit more about how to engage with viewers in order to build that consistent following. Um, how to, I'll touch on how to turn those people who engage with your content into um, true followers who you do engage with and maybe can get their email address from. And I'll be sharing some information about what not to do on Instagram, which is based both on my own experience and Instagram algorithms that I have learned over a few years.
Oh, that's good. We
Yeah,
look forward to that. That'll be really good information.
I
And
hope so.
um, gosh, it's
Yeah,
been really, really good to talk to you, Michelle, and to hear
thanks.
what you're doing and how you're using Instagram. I think that's really encouraging to see it working so well for you. So
Good. We all need to be out there more spreading the word of God however we can.
that's right.
Yeah.
Using whatever tools and means we have. That's great.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you guys for
Thank
being
you.
here, and we'll see you on Thursday.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.